Hello, neighbor. I'm so glad you're here again, in this quiet space of ours. Today, I would like to show you something. It is an old box of glass beads. I have had it since I was a boy. My mother gave it to me on a rainy afternoon. When I was feeling very bored, inside there are so many beads, so many colors. Red, blue, yellow, green. Some are perfectly round, some are rectangular, some even sparkle like tiny diamonds. They are so beautiful. My mother also gave me a long piece of string, and she said, "You cannot possibly string all of these beads onto this one string. The string is not long enough. You will have to choose," and that was a challenge. I wanted them all. I would pick up a red bead, but then I would see a sparkling blue one. I would put the red one down to pick up the blue one, but then a yellow one would catch my eye. I went back and forth like that for a long time, unable to decide, because every time I chose one bead, it felt like I was having to give up all the others. This box of beads and that short piece of string, they make me think about our lives, about the time that we have, and about choices. There is a very simple truth, but one that is sometimes very hard to accept. You rarely have time for everything you want in this life. So you need to make choices, and hopefully your choices can come from a deep sense of who you are. The modern world often seems to tell us the opposite. It tells us we can have it all, that we should have it all. We are encouraged to be a successful professional, a perfect parent, to have a healthy body, to be a world traveler, to have many friends, and to be up to date on every new trend. The list of beads that the world presents to us seems endless, and so we try to string all of them onto our thread of time. What is the result? We run. We are always in a hurry, from one thing to the next, from one responsibility to another. Our string becomes pulled tight, and we feel exhausted. We feel fragmented. We feel as if we are living many different lives, but not truly living fully in any one of them. And there is a constant humming anxiety, a fear that we are missing out on something, that there is some better, more important bead that we have not yet picked up. The truth is, our string, just like this piece of string, is finite. A day has only 24 hours. A life has only a certain number of years. We cannot have it all. We cannot do it all. And so we must choose. To acknowledge that is in itself a great relief. It gives us permission to stop running. It gives us permission to breathe. It tells us not being able to do everything is not a failure. It is simply part of being human. But then the next question arises, a much more important question. If we must choose, then how do we choose? Which beads will we string on to the precious thread of our lives? The saying offers a suggestion, and hopefully your choices can come from a deep sense of who you are. What does that mean? It means that before we look outward at the box full of the world's sparkling beads, perhaps we need to look inward first, choices that come from listening to our true selves. Our true self has core values. These are the things that are truly important to us. At the very deepest level, perhaps it is kindness, or creativity, or peace, or adventure, or family connection, or justice. These values are like an inner compass. When we are quiet enough to listen to it, it will show us our direction. I think of a woman named Maria. For many years, Maria tried to be a successful lawyer in a large firm in Philadelphia. That was a very shiny bead. It promised success, money, and social recognition. She worked very hard. She worked long hours. She was always trying to prove herself, but she was not happy. She was often stressed and felt empty. Then one day, after much soul-searching, she decided to take the time to really listen to her true self. She put aside the loud voices from the outside, the voice of her family's expectations, the voice of competition from her colleagues. And when she listened, she heard a very quiet voice, the voice of the little girl she used to be, the girl who loved to spend hours in her grandmother's garden, just looking at the flowers and the little insects. That voice didn't speak of success. It spoke of connection with nature, of peace, of the beauty in simple things. It was a moment of truth. And based on that truth, Maria made a very brave choice. She decided to let go of the shiny lawyer bead that everyone else admired. She didn't do it impulsively. She made a plan. She saved her money, and then she quit her job. She moved to a smaller town, and she started a small business, a flower shop. Many people thought she was crazy, that she had thrown away a career, but Maria told me that for the first time in years, she felt like she was living her own life. Her work now does not bring her much money or prestige, but it brings her joy, the joy of having her hands in the soil, the joy of seeing a new bud open, the joy of bringing a little bit of beauty into other people's lives through her arrangements. The thread of her time is now strung with different beads, beads that may not be as sparkly, but that resonate with her true self. And the necklace of her life is now so much more harmonious and meaningful. Choices are not just about the big things. Not all of us need to make a dramatic career change. Most of the time, the most important choices are in the small, everyday moments. Your true self might say, connection with my family is what matters most to me. So, what might the choice be? The complex world can offer many beads, an invitation to an evening event, an opportunity to work overtime for extra money, or simply the temptation to scroll endlessly on a phone. The choice that comes from your true self might be to bravely say no to those things and to instead choose a bead that looks much simpler, the bead of being fully present at the dinner table, of turning off the phone, and truly listening to your child's story about their day at school. That small act, that choice, that is you stringing a bead of family onto your life's thread. Your true self might say, kindness is essential to me, so when you are driving and another person cuts you off rudely, the complex world might offer the bead of anger, of retaliation. The choice that comes from your true self might be to take a deep breath and to choose to let it go, not because you are weak, but because you know that feeding your anger will disturb your own inner peace. You choose the bead of peace. Choosing also means accepting loss. This is the hardest part. Just like when I was a boy, every time I chose one bead, it felt like I was losing all the others. When you choose to spend time with your family, you may be giving up an opportunity for advancement at work. When you choose to follow a creative path that is less financially secure, you are giving up stability. When you choose a quiet evening to read a book, you are missing out on a fun party. There is no perfect choice. Every choice comes with a letting go. And loving ourselves also means allowing ourselves to be sad about the roads not taken. We can honor our choice and at the same time feel a little bit of grief for the beads we left in the box. Both feelings can exist at the same time, but when our choices come from a deep place of self-knowledge, the satisfaction they bring is usually so much greater than the regret, because we know that we are living an authentic life, a life that may not be perfect, but that is our own. I think of an old friend. He was a tremendously gifted person. He was a brilliant scientist, a talented musician, and an expert mountain climber, and he tried to do it all. He tried to string all of those sparkling beads onto his thread, and for a long time, he succeeded, but I could see the toll it was taking. He was always tired, always rushing. There was always a look of strain in his eyes. He had no time for deep conversations. A had no time for quiet. His string was too full, and it was about to break. Finally, his body spoke for him. He became ill, a serious illness that forced him to stop, and in that forced quiet, for the first time in years, he truly listened. He realized that even though he was good at all three things, only one of them gave him the deepest joy, a feeling of connection to something larger than himself, and that was science. And he made a choice. He did not give up music or climbing completely, but he chose not to pursue them at a professional level anymore. He chose to let them be simple hobbies, and he dedicated the majority of his energy and his time to science, to his research, to his teaching. The last time I saw him, he seemed like a different person, still a very busy person, but the strain was gone. In its place was a sense of peace, a sense of focus. He had chosen his main bead and let the others become the accents around it. And the necklace of his life was now not only beautiful, but strong. So how do we listen to our true selves? It is not something that happens overnight. It is a practice. Our true self is not a static statue. It is more like a river. It is always flowing. It changes, so the listening must also be continuous. It is making a little bit of time each day for quiet, maybe just 5 minutes of sitting still before the busy day begins. Doing nothing, just breathing and noticing what arises within you. It is asking yourself gentle questions. What truly gives me energy? What drains me? When do I feel most like my real self? It is paying attention to the feelings in your body. Our bodies often know the answers long before our minds do. Sometimes, to be able to hear more clearly, We need to temporarily step out of our familiar environments, a walk by yourself in Shenley Park, an afternoon spent in an unfamiliar coffee shop. These small changes in scenery can help us to hear the inner voices that are usually drowned out by the noise of routine. When I was a boy, struggling with a box of beads, my mother finally sat down beside me. She did not choose for me. She just asked a question: of all these beads, which one makes your heart feel happiest when you look at it? And that was a question that changed everything. I was no longer trying to find the best bead or the right bead. I was simply looking at them and listening to my own feeling, and I chose a blue bead, a simple, non-sparkly one, but it was a deep, rich blue like the sky after a rainstorm, and I began to string it on the thread. Our lives are the same. There is no formula for the right life. There is only a life that is true to you. The thread of your time is your own. The necklace you create will be like no one else's, and that is the beauty of it. I hope that when you are faced with choices, big or small, you can pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and listen. Listen for the deep and simple voice of your true self, because a life made of such choices will always be a beautiful and worthwhile life. You've made this day a special day just by being you and by the choices that only you can make. Thank you for being here. My neighbor